my crafty friends, it's me, Lisa the DIY Diva, and I am back with a bunch of brand new patriotic crafts for you to make just in time for the 4th of July. So if you love everything red, white, and blue, Americana, and you're looking for a way to make some high-end patriotic crafts to include in your decorating this year, you have found the right video. So grab your favorite beverage and let's get crafty. I love all of the different frames that you can find at Dollar Tree. That is one thing that never disappoints every time I go to basically any Dollar Tree. I can always find different styles of frames that I can use for seasonal crafting. And that is what I'm going to do with these two frames. These are 5x7. And even though they're gray right now, they are not going to stay that way. So once I had all of the packaging off, then I removed everything from the frame. So the back and the glass, everything came out. So I'm just left with the frame itself. Next, I took some navy blue chalk paint and I painted both of these frames with the chalk paint. I love using chalk paint for crafts like this because even if it's a really plasticky type frame, usually I can get away with one coat of the chalk paint. But one thing that tends to happen when you paint these really cheap frames is the paint can easily be scratched off, even if it is chalk paint. So what I like to do is take either a varnish or a sealer or even Mod Podge and seal all of the area where I had painted. Now, on a recent outing to Hobby Lobby, I found some different patriotic scrapbooking paper. And I did find this paper on Creative Fabrica, but since I was able to get this paper on sale at Hobby Lobby, I decided this was the paper that I wanted to use. So after deciding which paper I was going to use, then I took the back of the frame and I traced around the paper. Then I'm going to be using my paper cutter just to make sure that the paper is actually cut straight. And I'm going to cut this down. So one piece of this paper, this is 8x11 paper, it will actually be enough to be the backing for 2 pictures. So once I had the paper cut out, then I put some Mod Podge onto the backing of the frame that's going to be facing out, and then I attached the scrapbooking paper. I repeated the process on both of the picture frames. Then I just cut away the excess paper, and the Mod Podge actually dries really quick. So once I had the excess paper removed from the edges, all I had to do was take the back of the frame and attach it to the picture frame. Now, the one thing that I did leave out is I didn't use the glass on the picture frame. I'll probably save that for another project. But once I had the backing put back onto the frame, then I did come back with a little bit of hot glue and just sealed that back edge. This isn't a necessary step, but I want to make sure the backing is going to stay in place. That is why I like to use a little bit of that hot glue. So this is what the end result looks like. I have a really pretty patriotic background for the next part of my project. So I'm going to take some more paper that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to use the stars as well as the red and white stripe paper, and I'm going to secure that to a couple of wood cutouts. And I made sure to line up the paper so that they will meet evenly on the star. I didn't want the paper going at one angle or another. I wanted it to be completely straight. Then I just removed a lot of the paper around the edges. And then I took my hand sander and sanded away all of the excess paper. This way, I don't have to worry about getting that paper exactly lined up. By using the mini sander, this will make fast work of that excess paper. I did want to have the star be raised up a little bit from the back of the picture, so I took a larger craft stick and I just cut it into smaller pieces, and then I secured a few of those to the back of the star, and then I secured the star to the center of my picture using some hot glue. And because I like to be a little bit extra, I did make a little tiny bow using jute twine, and I secured that to the center of the star. Now I also wanted to have a heart cut out, but I didn't have any wooden hearts. And I had this sign that I had for another project, and it's just 2 Dollar Tree MDF boards that I secured together. So I drew out some different hearts along with some stars because I really like this primitive star. This I actually got at Hobby Lobby, but I didn't have any small primitive stars, which I need for another project. So I wanted to see how many different pieces I could get onto this Dollar Tree sign and repurpose it. Sometimes when you don't have the supplies you need, you have to improvise. And I find that by having a lot of these different Dollar Tree signs, it makes it much easier to have options for my projects. Now I could probably use a handsaw and saw all of these different shapes out, but that would take a lot of time and a lot of energy if I'm being completely honest. But by using this scroll saw, it makes it a lot easier. I'm able to cut out the different shapes that I need for whichever project it is that I'm doing. I love this scroll saw. It was very affordable and I've gotten so much use out of it. Now, once I had my shapes cut out, I came back into my craft room and I'm going to be using this heart, and I'm going to repeat the same process with the heart like I did the star. So I'm going to put the stars paper on the top, and then I'm going to put the striped paper on the bottom. Again, I want to make sure that everything lines up so that the paper is equally applied to the heart. And I just used the Dollar Tree wood glue to secure the paper to my piece of wood. The Dollar Tree wood glue dries really fast, so again, just like the star, I cut out the excess paper away from the heart, and then I used my mini hand sander to sand away the extra paper. Then I added a jute bow to the center, and I put some craft sticks on the back of the heart just like I did the star, and then I secured it to the center of my other sign. And just like that, I've been able to take a few things from the Dollar Tree and some very affordable scrapbook paper and make some artwork that I'm able to display in my 4th of July decorating. Hopefully you can see there are different ways that you can use the Dollar Tree frames to make seasonal decor that's very affordable. And not only does it look great in your decorating, but it's truly an original piece because you designed it, you put it together, and you made it, so it is definitely one of a kind. Now, sometimes when I'm making projects, I don't quite know what the end result is going to be. For example, I have these tumbling tower blocks that I had glued together. My intention was I was going to make a small book stack. But the one thing that always seems to happen when I'm trying to come up with a project idea like this, I get a little bit overwhelmed, especially if there's anything that has to have writing on it. So although I can see this red, white, and blue patriotic book stack in my head, it just hasn't happened yet. But the tumbling tower blocks at Dollar Tree are so wonderful for all kinds of projects. And I've even seen where people have shown that they have a larger set. Yes, they cost $3, but I am so excited to find these and I cannot wait until they show up in my Dollar Tree. But for now, I am very happy working with the regular size or the tiny tumbling tower blocks to make different things that I can use in my crafts. And then I also had some 2x4s that I had cut down and sanded, and I wanted to turn these into fireworks. I've seen lots of different types of fireworks on Pinterest, and I was like, I could totally do that. But again, I just didn't quite get the project finished. But just because I can't use these as I had intended, I can totally use them in my decorating. I know you've seen videos where people make all kinds of different fancy risers that they use in their tiered trays and just to elevate different pieces. But sometimes having unfinished projects like these can be really helpful to elevate different pieces as well. So yes, hopefully I will be turning these different blocks of wood into what I had intended, but in the meantime, I can use them in my decorating, which will give different layers of visual interest to my decorating that I have right now. Now, I have been collecting these arrows from Dollar Tree for quite some time now because I see them and I see all kinds of different things that I can do with them. So for this project, I'm going to be using 2 of the bigger arrows as well as one of the smaller ones. Now, I started by painting the 2 larger arrows red. This red was a little bit brighter than I had intended. As you can tell, it's pretty bright, and I wanted to have this have more of an Americana look, so more of a muted color or muted red. And for the shorter arrow, this is going to be going in between the 2 larger arrows. I wanted just regular navy blue, so I painted one side of the arrow the navy blue paint, but I also painted the smaller edge as well. And when the red arrows were dry, I did come back with some cream colored paint. This was an acrylic paint that I mixed with some chalk paint because I wanted to have, again, more of a cream color instead of a bright white. And I used a smaller paintbrush to paint different areas of the arrows. Now, normally I use the big moppy style paintbrushes, but I didn't want to have to tape off on my arrows, so I used a smaller straight edge paintbrush. The bristles are a lot firmer and it makes it so you can get really nice clean lines. They're not exactly perfect, but you can still get really clean lines by using this type of a paintbrush, and you don't have to tape anything off. But if you are a perfectionist, by all means, go ahead and tape off all of the different areas that you're going to be painting with the cream color paint. I want to make these arrows look like firecrackers, so I'm going to be painting them just a little bit differently. So where I have the red on one of the firecrackers, fireworks, I'm going to do the opposite on the other fireworks. So for the first one, I started with the cream at the top, and on this one, I'm starting with the red on the top, and the cream is going to be in the center. I did curve the edges just a little bit to give the illusion that it's more of a round cutout. And yes, the paint is still bright red here, but thanks to the magic of editing, I have the wine color here. These are the same arrows. I had just repainted that red part with the wine acrylic paint. Now for the top of the arrows or the top of my fireworks, I wanted to have a different color, so what I did was just switch it off. So the longer fireworks, those are going to have a navy blue top. And again, you can see I didn't use any tape, I just used that straight edge paintbrush to get a straighter edge. And on the navy blue arrow, which is the smaller arrow, I used that wine color. And again, using a straight edge paintbrush to get a nice clean line. And you don't necessarily have to use paintbrushes like this. If you have the foam paintbrushes, which you can find at Dollar Tree, those would work as well. I think if I were to use one of those foam brushes, I would probably use painter's tape or electrical tape to really make sure that the line stayed straight. Now, once everything had dried on all of my fireworks, then I came back with a white paint pen and I added some accents. So I started off with the larger fireworks and basically just drew a straight line and then a dot in the center, and I did that around the top of each of the larger fireworks. And then I came back to the wine colored portion of the fireworks and I did the dotted line again. And then I added something a little bit extra with a squiggly line. Any part of the long portion of my firework, I repeated this step. And on the bottom, I did draw a dotted line. I guess it kind of makes it look like it's stitched. After I was done with the white marker, then I came back with a black marker, and this is just an acrylic marker. It has a fine tip, and on the opposite side, it has a broad tip. So I used that black broad tip on the top and bottom portion of the wine color on the fireworks. And then on the cream colored portions, I did the dotted line just like I did on the top of the firework. I repeated that on the cream color painted side of the firework. Now for the smaller firework, I did decide to go ahead and tape it off because I want to paint some straight lines. And I have this washi tape and it works really well if you're going to be painting acrylic paint onto a wood project. It works very similar to painter's tape, but I like the washi tape, I hope I'm saying that right, because it's thinner and I didn't want to have to cut down painter's tape. So once I had the top portion of the firework taped off, then I came back with some more of that cream colored paint and I just filled in all of the open areas of the top of the firework. And while the paint was still wet, I came back and I removed all of the washi tape. So this is going to give me that patriotic red and white stripe. I love that. That is so pretty. And then I thought it would be really pretty to add some stars to the blue portion of the firework. So I have these different stencils, and after I picked the one out that I wanted with the star shape, then I used that same color cream acrylic paint and I lightly stenciled the stars in place. If you don't have a stencil like this, you could make one if you have a Cricut machine, or you could just cut out the stars if you had the vinyl, or you could even use stickers. If you have star stickers, you could do that. Or if you have wooden stars, you could paint those cream and put them onto the firework as well. There are so many different options for projects like this that you can do, and hopefully I just gave you a whole bunch of ideas. Now, once my fireworks were dry, all the paint was dry, then I secured them together. I had the larger fireworks on the outside, and then I secured the smaller firework to the center. And then I had this adorable gnome that I got from Dollar Tree last year around the 4th of July, and I secured him to the center of all of the fireworks. I did use some tumbling tower blocks to raise him up a little bit. The tumbling tower blocks work perfect for doing things like this, especially if you have bigger pieces. Now, I also had these left over from the 4th of July last year, and they're just so pretty, and I thought it would be really neat to make it look like they're coming out of the bottom of the fireworks. So I just used some hot glue and secured them to the back of my sign. And then I also attached a jute hanger, and this is the finished project. I love this so much. Oh my gosh, this is such a cute addition to my 4th of July crafts. I am so excited with how this turned out. It's much better than I thought it was going to be. So if you have these wooden arrows from Dollar Tree, hopefully you can see how you can turn them into a firecracker. And speaking of firecrackers, I have a cute little firecracker project for you. So I have this little tin container. Then I found this sign on Creative Fabrica and I made it in different sizes. I also created a background for it to make it look like it's a little bit older. I didn't want just a white background for my fireworks sign. Now, when I downloaded it, I used Photoshop to change the sizes and the color a little bit of this because I wanted it to have more of the navy and wine color, and I didn't know which size would fit onto my tin. So I tried different sizes and I found one that I was happy with. Then I cut off the excess paper so that it will fit nicely onto my tin. And I used a little bit of Dollar Tree wood glue to secure it to the tin. And just in case you can't see it, the fireworks sign says Old Glory Fireworks Company. Then I wanted to make some fireworks to fit inside of the tin. So I had a wooden dowel, and I think this was a 1-inch size dowel that I had from another project. I cut down pieces that were about 3 inches long, and then I painted them red, white, and blue. So I used the navy blue, I used the bright red, and then I used the white. And when the paint was dry, then I came back with my hand sander and sanded away some of the paint because I do want these to look more aged. Next, I came back with a small drill bit and I just drilled a hole down into the center of each of my fireworks. I'm using a Dremel tool, but if you have a drill, that will work just fine. Then I took little pieces of twine and I did end up securing the edges with a little bit of hot glue because that seemed to help keep it nice and tight at the base, which made it a lot easier to push down into the hole that I had drilled on the firework. So then I put a little bit of hot glue into that hole and then just pushed down the twine into the center. And the twine was a little bit long, so I did trim it down so it was shorter, so it looks like it's the fuse for each of the fireworks. Then I decided to add some burlap ribbon to the center of my tin. So I just cut pieces of the burlap and then I used hot glue to secure it down to the bottom. And I can't remember where I found this tin at, but my original idea was I was going to use a tuna can. So if you can't find a tin like this, you definitely could use a tuna can or a small dog food can or cat food can to get this look, and it would be really affordable to do it. So once I had the burlap in place, then I took each of the fireworks and tucked them into the tin. Now I found this really cute firework display at Dollar Tree, but I just wanted to use the tops for this project, so I cut them off and then I just tucked them into my tin as well. Just like all of my other projects, this one was very easy. I was able to do it in no time at all, and I think it's a great addition to my decor. Now, on one of my last outings to Dollar Tree, I found this sign. I love this, Liberty. This is actually one of the larger signs that I've seen at Dollar Tree, and I decided I wanted to see if I could make this part of a centerpiece. So after I removed everything from the sign itself, so the hanger and the tag, I went into my stash and I found these 3 wooden crates from Dollar Tree as well. I wanted to secure these to the back of the sign. So I took some Dollar Tree wood glue and some hot glue for the instant stick, and I secured the 3 crates together. I wanted to make sure they would stay together, so I took a very large craft stick and I glued that in place on the bottom between the 3 crates. Next, I came back with some more hot glue and a little bit of wood glue, and I secured the crates to the back of the sign. Then I had remnants of floral foam, and I tucked those into each of the crates and stuck them in place with some hot glue. Then I just took a bunch of random pieces of florals, like some greenery and some pretty white flowers, along with a few very festive 4th of July extras, and I filled up the crates. I didn't have enough of the bling, the 4th of July part, the red, white, and blue shiny stuff. So I did end up separating those pieces and tucked the individual pieces in between the flowers and the greenery. I wish I would have had more of the red, white, and blue sparkly stuff, but I didn't. And that's okay. Sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. But if you don't have it, all you have to do is get a little bit creative and figure out how you're going to make these things go further. So for me, it was easier than going back to town and buying more of these different pieces. I definitely think it would look really festive and really pretty if I had extra, but I didn't, so I just used what I had, and I am very happy with how this turned out. I think it looks really pretty, and it's definitely festive, and I can use this year after year. I can switch out the florals if I want, or next year if I have a few more of those red, white, and blue stars and different glitter pieces, I can always come back and add those too. Now I know that I've shown you how easy it is to make pom-poms, especially with these pom-pom makers that they do have at Dollar Tree. But I wanted to show you how easy it is to make pom-poms that are different colors. So I have this red and blue yarn along with some cream colored yarn that has a little bit of some gold in it too. And what I'm going to do is take these 3 different colors of yarn and I'm going to wrap them around the pom-pom maker all at the same time. These pom-pom makers are so easy to use, and I've never thought of using different colors of yarn together, and I was like, you know what, let's just give it a try and see what happens. So you just extend the arm out on the pom-pom maker and then you just wrap the yarn around it. Having the 3 different colors of yarn really makes this go fast, especially if you're using the smaller pom-pom maker. And once you have the one arm fully wrapped, then you just fold the arm back down and that will help keep all of that yarn in place. Then you just cut away the excess yarn. Then you just repeat the process on the other arm. There's a little channel that you put your scissors down and you just cut on both sides. Make sure you've gotten all the way through your yarn. Then you take another piece of yarn and feed it through that channel, go to the other side and just tie it into a knot. Just pull down the string and tie a square knot. Now I like to be a little bit extra and flip it over and repeat the process on the opposite side. Then you just open the arms of the pom-pom maker, pull it apart, and you have a pom-pom. It's so much fun to shake out the pom-pom to see where all of the different little long pieces are, and then just use your scissors to trim them away so that your pom-pom is nice and even. And I love the red, white, and blue. I think this is so pretty, and it's a great addition to your decorating for the 4th of July. Do you see how you could make something like this and just incorporate it into your decor? I'm looking at this now and I'm already having visions of fall and thinking of what I can do with some different color pom-poms in my fall decor. I love this so much, and hopefully I've inspired you to maybe consider using some pom-poms in your decorating. Now, I don't know if you've ever done Sculpey clay before or fake bakes, but I love making fake bake cookies. So I have this Sculpey clay, and then I also have this clay that I got from Walmart. The lighter tan is from Walmart, and it was 98 cents. The darker brown clay, that was from Hobby Lobby, and that's the Sculpey brand, and it was $3.99. And because I didn't have enough of one color, I did take both of these different clays and I put them together. Then I used a tiny rolling pin to roll out the clay. Next, I came back with some star cookie cutters and I cut out the clay in a star shape. Now, when I was done with the brown, that's going to be the cookie part. Then I came back with some bright color clay. So I used the blue clay that I had and a smaller star cookie cutter, and I cut out some smaller stars. This is going to be the frosting for my cookies. Once I had all of the clay cut out, then I put them onto a cookie sheet with parchment paper. And then I baked them in my oven. I think it was 250 degrees for about 20 minutes. And once my fake bake cookies had baked and cooled, then I did come back with some different color acrylic paints to try to make them look like cookies. I want this to have a sugar cookie appearance, and mixing up the different clays, while that does look pretty neat, I do like that look, they don't look like cookies. So once I found the perfect recipe for sugar cookie paint, then I painted all of the cookie stars with the paint. And while my cookies were drying, then I came back to the bright colored stars. These are the smaller ones, and I coated them with Mod Podge. The Mod Podge that I'm using for these stars is the glossy Mod Podge because I want it to look like it's a shiny fondant cookie. And then I just took some fake sprinkles that I had that are patriotic colors, and I carefully placed them onto the clay stars. You probably don't have to be quite so careful, but I didn't want my sprinkles all bunched up in one place. I wanted them spread out evenly on the tops of my cookies. Now, once the cookies and the frosting had time to dry, this is what they looked like. So now all that's left to do is to take the frosting part and put it onto the cookies. So I used a little bit of craft glue and put that onto each of the cookies. And then I took the frosting and put it on top. I love baking, but my cookies never turn out looking like this, so I am so happy with how my fake bake patriotic cookies look. I know they may not look exactly like cookies, but I think they're very pretty, and I really like having stuff like this in my decor. How about you? Have you ever considered doing fake bakes for your decorating? Let me know in the comments section. I would love to know. I'm so curious. And once the glue had time to set up, I took my patriotic cookies and I put them onto a Dollar Tree cutting board. I think these are so cute, and I think I'll just have to be really careful and make sure I keep them away from my granddaughter because I don't want her accidentally thinking they're a real cookie. And I can't believe it, but we have reached the end of the video. Oh my gosh, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making these crafts. I have so much fun making different things like this, and I love sharing them with you. If you enjoy crafting and love getting new ideas, hit that subscribe button. And if you click the bell notification, you'll get an alert when I have a new video coming out. Believe it or not, I still have more 4th of July that I want to share with you. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button and you'll know when that video is available. I hope you have a wonderful day and have some time to get creative in your craft room. Thanks so much for watching. Happy crafting!